So I'll go over this process for creating online ad campaigns, which involves choosing a niche, defining a target audience, figuring out where that target audience is online, creating ad copies and landing pages, setting up split testing and tracking, running the ads, and tracking the results and making adjustments. So to discuss choosing a niche, I don't know how many of you already have a niche or like a website set up, something like that. Can you show of hands? Anybody? Okay. So if you're looking to find a niche, you can look for things like hobbies, skills, talents, professional experience, industries, markets that interest you, information you've learned, things you know how to make, things you can buy for less and sell for more, and other things that you know. If you're looking to find some sort of random niche, here are a bunch of awesome resources. So you can look and see what's trending out on Google, Twitter. You can look for other products or other kind of popular things on Amazon. You can see what people are discussing on online forums. So there's a site, findaforum.net, where you can find online forums, discussion boards, etc. And even if you already have existing niches, that could be a useful website to see what people are discussing in your current industry. ClickBank, Suggest, Wikipedia Statistics. This is a neat website where you can actually go here and see the stats for any Wikipedia article. So if you do, for example, say Microsoft. Actually, I guess, let's see.
I kind of know words about it.
No, okay. And this was working the last that I tested it. But this was a statistics website for, essentially the Wikipedia page counts, or view counts for each Wikipedia page. Walking through stores, looking at products, asking friends, family members, etc., what they're interested in.
Are you posting this after? Or?
Oh, yes, we'll be posting the video in the New York SEO Meetup group.
The video and the slides?
Yes. So desired actions. So we're looking at what is your target niche and what do you want them to do. So on your website, this comes down to calls to actions and kind of what is the purpose of your site? What do you want to drive this advertising to? What results do you want to get? So do you want names and email addresses for subscribers to build an email list? Do you want to get users to subscribe to push notifications? Now this one's fairly new technology. I don't know if you've ever heard of pushcrew.com. It's a neat website where essentially by installing the pushcrew code on your website, when somebody comes to your website, they'll get a little pop-up at the top that says, do you want to receive push notifications from your website? And all they have to do is click yes to accept it. And then you can log into your pushcrew account and send out messages to all of these people that have pressed accept. And it'll go through as desktop notifications, like on their Mac or whatever computer browser that they're using. You can get information from users for CPA campaigns. You want to get views and clicks on advertisements. So I've seen this before. It's not as common nowadays as it was several years in the past, where you would run ad campaigns to a website to then get people to click on your ads. So you made money from advertising. You're running this ad arbitrage where you're paying for ads and you're also making money from ads on your site. Getting application downloads, installs, purchases of physical products, digital products, services, software as a service, subscription, purchasing of recommended items for promoting as an affiliate, if you're looking to receive donations. So think about market and what action you're trying to achieve from the ad campaign. Then we're going to look into defining target audience. So you ask yourself questions like demographic questions, male or female, what age group, what socioeconomic group, religion, education, marital status, children, kind of hobbies, how they spend their free time, things like that. How much money do they make? Can they afford your product or service easily? Maybe should you be taking them to pages where you're advertising payment plans or things like that? Where do they spend the time offline and online? Do they attend conferences, trade shows, magazines, newspapers, television programs, online videos, etc.? Who do they do business with? Where do they network, online, offline? Who else has a target audience that you would be interested in advertising to? Because even if you don't directly work out something with that other company or guru, a lot of them sometimes have Facebook pages set up, for example. So you might be able to then target your ads and say, anybody who's liked such and such Facebook's page, I want them to see my ads. So it's a good thing to think about. Who do they trust, respect, look up to? And how do they prefer to interact? Buzzwords, what gets their attention? What problems are they faced with? Are they looking to kind of get help with? So once you kind of build this audience profile of who are you looking for and write that down, then we look into where are they online. So you look at the US internet audience. I have some statistics from ComScore, and they stated in March of 2016 that there's 258.9 million online users in the US. And the breakdown of that is, if you look at these various internet properties, this is from the same ComScore article, out of that 259 million, these are how many unique visitors are seeing pages on these various properties. So across like the Google network, across Facebook, across Yahoo, Microsoft, etc. And this is something to think about because, even for these other websites, even if you look and you say, well, ESPN or something like that, a lot of these sites, a lot of people get locked in thinking like, oh, there's only 2 or 3 big advertising networks. You have to be on Yahoo, or you have to be on Google, you have to be on Bing, Facebook, etc. But realistically, if you think about where your customers are online, a lot of those sites on their ad sections, they say at the bottom, advertisements by, or you can click on the little circle and it says ad choices. And you can figure out what ad network is being shown on that website. Kind of do that reverse engineering and say, well, maybe I should be a part of that ad network. Maybe I should advertise on that advertising network to then be able to get that placement on that website. And if you look at this, big 4, AdWords, Facebook ads, Yahoo, Bing. But just keep in mind that there are probably thousands, tens of thousands of advertising networks. And that's a good thing to look into nowadays as advertising becomes more and more competitive and the prices become higher and higher for cost per click and other kind of ways of that those ads are being charged. Another thing, whenever you're looking at websites to advertise on, or even other competitor websites or websites that are in your market and you kind of want to piggyback off their audience, you can find websites similar to a particular website using these 3 websites. So you go to any of these sites, you type in a URL, and it will show results for similar websites to those websites that you type in. Just helpful resources. And then, so we've discussed all these places you can find your target market. But if you already have a current client base, if you already have names, email addresses, phone numbers, you already have customer data, then some websites like Facebook allow you to upload that data and create custom audiences around it. And that's a really effective way because you know that these people, they've already worked with you in the past. They might be past clients, past customers, etc. You can even say, well, you know, this client list from 5 years ago, I have these email addresses, but you know, if I emailed them right now, they wouldn't know who I am. But I know that they're interested in my products. So you could go and you can take that list, and you can upload it, and you can say, I only want to show ads to these people. So when you do that to Facebook, then it will go through and it will try to match those email addresses, those phone numbers, etc., to Facebook profiles. And for every time that it creates a match, it creates an audience of just those profiles, and then you can run ads to them. So that's all kind of pre-research things to think about as you're creating ad campaigns. But whenever you actually sit down to create the ad campaigns, the ad copy and the landing page, then you think about the advertising formats. So I try to think of as many different online advertising formats that I could. Between adware, which kind of gets a bad rep, but you see it in certain legitimate cases where, for example, if you have a WordPress plugin, it's a free plugin in the WordPress plugin directory, but yet it might have an affiliate link in it to a hosting company or to an upgraded version of the software or something of that sort. You can kind of think of it along those similar lines to like a base software that is kind of adware. It's kind of maybe supported by ads, supported by something else. Affiliate marketing, you get other people to promote your products and services for commissions. Banner ads, annoying ads you see at the top and the sides of web pages. Chat, there's more and more kind of movement towards that with kind of Slack and Facebook bots, where you can actually go and there are services that help you create these kind of chat bots that people can interact with, or I've even seen it in the case of e-commerce websites on Shopify. They have certain kind of add-ons within Shopify that let you send out Facebook messages to your customers saying your order is shipped, etc., with like follow-up notifications, etc. In-game, then you have those ads that kind of show as soon as you load the page and you have to close out of them, or you have to wait like 15 seconds before you can go on to read your content. Mobile ads, ads in email newsletters, pop under, pop up, push notifications, social media, text, and video. So you can see that there are a lot of different advertising formats. Yes? That's the one that whenever you load the page, you have to view the ad, maybe for like 15 seconds, like Forbes.com, I think, has a lot of those. And yeah, and then you have to like either click X or, yeah, like newspapers have them, etc. And then when you look into pricing, you have cost per meal, so cost per thousand, cost per click. So every time somebody clicks on an ad, then you're billed. The cost per mil, that's every time 1,000 people view an ad, then you're billed per 1,000 views. Cost per engagement, that's if they take some sort of action with the ad. You'll see that more with maybe YouTube video ads, things like that. Cost per view, same thing, kind of run into that whenever you're doing video advertising. Cost per install, if you're trying to target app installs, etc. Cost per action, pay per performance. That's if you're kind of advertising where you pay every time somebody, you get an email opt-in or something along those lines, or just fixed cost. So there's websites out there that for $100 a month, you get certain ads bought. And it doesn't matter whether the website gets 1 million views or 10 views, you're still billed the same fixed cost for that ad space. When you look into advertising, a lot of you have probably heard of Meetup. attention, interest, desire, action. So this is a common ad term or wording acronym for things to think about as you create an advertising campaign. So somebody is just minding their own business. You want to go out, you want to get their attention with your product, your service, whatever you're trying to advertise. Then pique their interest. So you have their attention. Why should they be interested in your product, your service? Then you have to get them to want it. And then once they want it, once they desire it, get them to take action and purchase it. Sign up for a newsletter. Take that action to make that advertising campaign successful. So it's a simple ADA acronym to think about in creating ad campaigns. Ad copy. What are users looking for? And create specific ads for each keyword or placement. Include numbers and statistics. Use emotional words. Focus on benefits. Address obvious objections in ad. Have only one call to action in each ad. That's important. So as you create ads, these are kind of tips and ideas, strategies for things to think about when you write your ad copy. Include words like today, now, etc., calls to actions. And if you're creating text ads, use keywords in your display URL. So we're kind of thinking about advertising, creating your ad copy for those various ad types. Now, you have the ad. Where are people going to go from the ad? They're going to go to some sort of landing page. And there are a variety of ways of creating a landing page. There are those hosted solutions like Unbounce or ClickFunnels, or a lot of people already have existing WordPress websites. And if you're interested in having your own hosting, using the free WordPress software, and then kind of driving traffic to that, then that's really what we'll be looking into. So you have to install WordPress, choose a WordPress theme, and add content. And people can generally find WordPress themes, install WordPress, etc., but kind of adding content and creating landing pages, unless you're a coder, WordPress was originally built as a blogging platform. So you think these long blog posts, lots of text, etc., which could be good or not so good for creating landing pages. That's why I've run across tools like Site Origin Page Builder that lets you add widgets to pages. So you can actually go over here, and if you see where it says simple drag and drop, you can, for each page on the WordPress website, define rows and columns. And you can say, I want 3 rows, and I want in each row, maybe this row to have 4 columns, that row to have 1, etc. And you can drag and drop widgets into it. So you can drag and drop images, videos, text, etc., and build out a landing page using Site Origin's Page Builder. And that's a simple way to create a landing page. If you're looking for a free way, it's just WordPress is free, the Page Builder is free, get something up and running. With that, or on that same note, I also created this infographic, which I'll be sharing. I don't necessarily going to go through all of this right now, but essentially, whenever you're creating your landing page for your website, it's important to make sure that it is in compliance with the advertising networks that you're advertising on, because a lot of times they might even just block your ads, not show them, they might ban your account, etc. if you create a landing page that doesn't follow those terms and conditions. And so I just kind of went through some of the top ad networks, Google, Facebook, etc., kind of took their do's and do nots, and created this kind of checklist, which check next to the boxes to say, did I that I do that. And then also just some tips like tracking pixels, Google Analytics code, etc., which we'll get into in the next step. But that'll also be shared. And then whenever you're looking at a WordPress theme, you go into the WordPress.org theme repository and browse the free themes. I typically click on the popular tab under the theme directory because you can find things like this Serif Light theme. It's going to be a pretty good one for a landing page. We're going to preview that. There's the different sections that come in, etc. It's a free WordPress theme. And there's several others, but by being under the popular category, in order for it to be popular, it's usually a pretty well put together theme that tends to work and tends to be easy to kind of set up and customize. And then also Theme Forest has some paid ones, various landing paging themes and other HTML pages to set up. So there's just some resources for setting landing pages. The copy, make sure to be consistent. Match your ad and your landing page. Use a unique offer. A lot of people just say, everybody in the same industry is like, oh, here's my free ebook, here's my free whatever. But if you can have that ebook on a unique topic or have some unique spin on it, then that's going to get more conversions because everybody's seeing all of these other ads in your industry. Everybody's, your competition, they're all kind of following the same basic template. Like, oh, I'm going to set this up, do this free giveaway to get names and email addresses for opt-ins. But if you have something unique, you have, oh, here's a software program I'm giving away, here's this, then you'll get better results. Create urgency, use directional cues, add testimonials, credibility, and once again have one call to action. Now, once you have your pages set up, your ad copy, you know your market, etc., it's very important to set up Google Analytics on your website. So make sure to kind of get that set up. You can just go under Home. You can go and add new websites, add new campaigns, etc. And make sure to add that tracking code to your website. And on that same topic of tracking and retargeting pixels, essentially between analytics, between these various ad networks, etc., they're all going to give you some piece of code to put on your website. It's going to say Google Analytics. They're like, it's a very simple, like, 3-step process. You set up a website, they give you code, they say copy that into your website. Facebook, you're trying to put in a tracking pixel so that anybody who visits your website, Facebook knows, if they're logged in through Facebook, Facebook knows who that person is, and then you could later target those people, that custom audience on Facebook, etc. In order for them to do that, they're all going to give you a piece of code. You have to put that on your website, and it allows you to create custom audiences to advertise to. That can get kind of unwieldy, to have all of these pieces of code that you have to add to various parts of your website, etc. That's why Google created Tag Manager, which is a really neat tool. So all you have to do is just add one snippet of code to your website, and then you can add all of those tags to Google Tag Manager, the Facebook tag, the Twitter tag, even Google Analytics, etc., and it manages it for you. So essentially,
Google Tag Manager has tools for marketers to deploy tags while helping IT keep things safe and stable. This video is an introduction to the basic concepts that marketers will use.
Google Tag Manager helps you manage how tags are deployed on your website or mobile app. Google Tag Manager gives you a powerful set of tools to control how these tags are fired and how your tag data is handled using triggers, variables, and the data layer. A tag is HTML code that executes on a page. Tags serve a variety of uses, but most of the tags used in Google Tag Manager send information from your site to a third party. For example, the Google Analytics and the AdWords conversion tracking tags send information about certain types of activity on your site to Google. Without a tag management solution, the code for each of your tags must be added manually to the source code of your site. Google Tag Manager simplifies this process. Using the Google Tag Manager interface, you simply specify the tags that you want to use, and Google Tag Manager does the heavy lifting for you. Google Tag Manager for the web is deployed using a single container code snippet that you place on all your website pages. The Google Tag Manager SDK is used for mobile apps. The container snippet handles the deployment and execution of AdWords, Google Analytics, Floodlight, and other tags you might have deployed on your site or mobile app using Google Tag Manager. Google Tag Manager uses triggers and variables to control how and when your tags fire. Tags are triggered based on events and are executed when a web page or mobile app loads or in response to some interaction on the page or mobile app. In Google Tag Manager, you attach triggers to tags to specify when they should fire. For example, if you attach the All Pages trigger to a tag, the tag will fire whenever any page loads. Other triggers might be set up to fire tags at specific times, such as if a customer removes an item from their shopping cart, or if their user clicks or taps a button to download a featured app.
Variables help define triggers and what data they send.
Conditions might include specific URLs for referring pages, links, or for the page itself. The presence of specific HTML elements, IDs, or classes, cookie values, random number values, or custom values via JavaScript. The data layer is an optional JavaScript object that you can use to help manage the information your tags are gathering from your site. A data layer is simply object code that can be used to pass events and variables to Google Tag Manager. To generate a data layer on a web page, you simply create an object before your container tag. For example, if you have a tag that triggers when your customer uses your travel website to look at a vacation to Hawaii, the values can be pushed to the data layer when the page is viewed. A trigger can then be defined to look for destination and travel type values, and configured to fire a Google Analytics event tag when detected to track the data. The data can then be collected and analyzed in Google Analytics as custom variables. To learn more about managing tags in Google Tag Manager, visit support.google.com.
And as far as setting up Google Tag
Tags on
Manager,
your website help you measure traffic and optimize your online marketing. But all that code is cumbersome to manage. It often takes too long to get new tags on your site or update existing ones. This can delay campaigns by weeks or months, taking us valuable opportunities, data, and sales. That's where tag management comes in. Google Tag Manager is a powerful free tool that puts you, the marketer, back in control of your digital marketing. You update all your tags from Google Tag Manager instead of editing site code. This reduces errors, frees you from having to involve a webmaster, and lets you quickly deploy tags on your site. Here's how it works. Sign in with an existing Google account. Go to google.com/tagmanager and create an account for your company. We'll name this one after the name of our company, Example Inc. Next, create a container for your domain name. We'll name this one after our website, example.com. This container will hold all the tags on the site. When you create a container, Google Tag Manager generates a container snippet to add to your site. Copy this container snippet and paste it into every page of your site. Paste the snippet below the opening body tag. Once you've pasted the container snippet into your site, you add and edit your tags using Google Tag Manager. You can add any marketing or measurement tag you want, whenever you want. Let's add a couple of tags to the container. You can add both Google and non-Google tags. Here, we'll add an AdWords conversion tracking tag for our purchase conversion. To find the conversion ID and conversion label values, look at your existing tags or sign into AdWords and get them from the conversion tracking interface. We'll set up a rule so that this tag only fires on the thank you page, which is our conversion page. We'll save our rule and save the tag. We also want to use Google Analytics on the site, so we'll add a Google Analytics tag. This tag should fire on all pages. You can add as many tags as you need to a container. You can preview the site with the tags, making sure the site looks and behaves as you expect. A version or snapshot of the container is created when you preview. You can also create versions at any time as you work. When you're ready, go to the version you want and publish it. This publishes your tags to the live site. You can publish changes anytime. Your web team doesn't need to be involved. Google Tag Manager is extremely flexible. It provides versioning, user permissions, and many other features. To learn more, go to support.google.com/tagmanager.
And then for incorporating Google Tag Manager into a WordPress website, there are WordPress plugins for that. So for example, there's this one that has over 50,000 active installs. And you remember in that video where I was talking about pushing data to Google Tag Manager that was specific to that page, maybe specific to vacations, etc. This kind of puts the information from your WordPress pages into that data layer so that it can be picked up by Tag Manager and by your various advertising tracking snippets. As far as A/B testing goes, which is a very important thing to do. So you create a landing page, you create your ad campaigns, you set up the tracking code, everything. Now, you can run your ads just like that, but do you really know if that's the best way to run your ads? Like, is there a way to improve upon it? Maybe changing the color of a headline, maybe changing content, swapping out videos, etc. So if you go under Google Analytics, under reporting, behavior, and experiments, then you can set up A/B testing.
Google Analytics now includes content experiments, which lets you easily and quickly offer visitors different variations of your content, and then see which variations lead to more conversions. Let's say you run a website that sells bicycles. You're already using goals to track sales, but you'd like to see if you can improve some of your product pages to increase sales. Introducing new pages one at a time to your site and then waiting to collect results is time-consuming. Content Experiments lets you experiment more quickly. Your goal is to find a version of your product page that increases helmet sales. Content Experiments lets you test up to 6 variations of a page. After you design and publish your variation pages, log in to Analytics, and under the Content section, click Experiments. Click Start Experimenting to open the wizard, and let it guide you through the setup, including how to add the experiment code to your original page. First, you'll add the URL for the original helmet page, along with the 2 new variations that you've created and uploaded. Click Next to select what goal you'd like to improve and what percentage of visitors to include in the experiment. You'll then have the option to add the experiment code to the original page yourself, or you can email it to your webmaster. Once the code is added, you can validate it within the setup wizard. Finally, you can review the full experiment that you've set up and select to run it now. Once you've finished the setup, Content Experiments does the rest. When visitors arrive at your site, Content Experiments serves either the original page or a variation to the percentage of your audience you specify. Visitors continue to see the original or the same variation on subsequent visits. Content Experiments tracks how each group of visitors converts, given which version of the page it sees. You can examine the results while the experiment is in progress. The report for each experiment lets you see the number of conversions and conversion rate for your original page and each variation, and you can see the likelihood of each variation to outperform the original. The experiment ends once a winning variation is found, or once it's determined that none of the variations outperform the original. Content Experiments integrated into Google Analytics lets you improve your site experience and optimize conversion rates on the things that matter for your business.
And then that code from Google Analytics for setting up those A/B tests can be incorporated through Tag Manager. Another interesting plugin that you could install on your WordPress website is called Hotspots. And that lets you see heat maps of users as they view your website. So you can see kind of where their mouse cursor is, or where they click on your website as they're browsing through it. You go to wordpress.org/plugins/hotspots. Yes?
So you prefer page analytics instead to see the percentage of each click on each button?
Yes. Yeah, that's another good way. And I mean, you can have multiple different kind of tracking solutions installed. Sometimes you might see some variations between them. So, I guess it could be a good backup method if, let's say, you want to make sure that your Google tags are set up correctly. Maybe stuff would show in hotspots that isn't being shown within analytics, or kind of vice versa. So it's just, definitely I would recommend the Google Tag Manager, Google Analytics, those tools first and foremost. So run the ad, and then track the results and make adjustments. And I ran across this really interesting tool called Data Studio. I don't know who's heard of Data Studio?
This came out with 3 days back.
What?
This came out like 3 days back. Really doesn't.
Yes, it's really neat because you can pipe in various data sources, and then you can go and essentially view these reports that are being pulled from AdWords, your website, etc.
Welcome to Google Data Studio. This short video will show you how to accomplish the 3 primary tasks you need to create beautiful reports that tell stories with your data, connecting to your data, visualizing that data to gain insights, and sharing reports and collaborating on them with your colleagues and customers. You can follow along as we go through this video by signing into Data Studio now. Here's the Data Studio homepage. Let's take a quick tour. On the left, you'll find the Reports tool and the Data Sources tool. Reports let you create beautiful and interactive data visualizations. Data sources are reusable components that connect a report to your underlying data, such as Google Sheets, AdWords, Google Analytics, and more. Data Studio comes with a number of sample reports and data sources to help get you started and show you what's possible to do with the product, so be sure to check those out. When you're viewing the list of reports or data sources, use the context menu to share, rename, or remove the selected object. Finally, up in the right corner, you've got controls that let you search for a report or data source, sort the list using different options, and provide feedback to Google. Let's view the Welcome Report. This multi-page report is actually a tutorial in Data Studio, so it's a good place to start when you're ready to explore the product on your own. Clicking the logo in the top left corner returns you to the home page. Okay, now that you know your way around, it's time to create your first report. To do that, make sure you're in the Reports tool, then open the Report Editor. This is where you'll build all of your reports. The first step to creating a new report is to connect to your data. You do that by adding a data source to the report. Use the data source picker to select an existing data source, or you can create a brand new one by clicking Create New Data Source. Let's use the sample Google Analytics data source that comes with the product. Right now, we've only got a couple of data sources, so it's easy to find. Later on, if you have a lot of data sources, you can use search to find a specific one quickly. Adding a data source to a report requires you to grant permissions to do so. Once you've added the data source, you can start visualizing your data. Let's change the orientation to landscape, and for our first visualization, we'll add a time series chart to this report. Use the time series tool, then draw a box on the canvas where you want the chart to appear. Data Studio automatically selects the time dimension and the metric to use in this chart. You can change the data options and add style or color using the Properties panel for the selected object. Congratulations! You've created your first Data Studio visualization. It's just as easy to add other components. Let's add a metric scorecard. Scorecards show a single aggregated value for the field you select. We'll use the dimension picker to change this one to show the user's metric. Date range controls let report viewers customize the time frame of a report. Let's add one. Finally, let's put a top banner and a title on our report. We'll use the rectangle tool for the banner and the text tool for the title. Data Studio gives you a rich selection of style options to make your reports attractive, compelling, and on-brand for your business. The Arrange menu lets you align components, group them, and control how they overlap. To view this report as other people will see it, click the Edit toggle. This simple report may not be much to look at yet, but it is live data. You can interact with it by mousing over the data points, and you can also change the date range and update the data. There's a lot more you can do with Data Studio. So if you wanted to turn it into a work of data visualization art, you just use the Edit toggle again and add more visualizations, data filters, additional pages, and more. For now though, let's say you're ready to move to the third step in telling your data story by sharing this report with your coworker. Sharing is easy. Type your colleague's email address in the People field. You can also share a Data Studio report with a Google group. When you share a report with other people, you have two options: letting them view the report or edit the report. To enable your coworker to collaborate on the report, select Can Edit. In a moment, your coworker will get an email inviting them to edit your report. When they access the report, you'll see their Google profile image appear in the toolbar. Now you can both edit the report together in real time. How much more awesome will your reports be when you work on them together as a team? To learn more about Data Studio and to see our other video tutorials, visit the Help Center.
Any questions? Yes. Okay. I mean, I think that I saw a statistic that.
Sorry, what was the question?
The question was, what about ad blockers? So I think that somewhere around 9% of internet users are using ad blockers. It would depend on the network. So I think that some of the better networks like Google, Facebook, et cetera, would have better measures against, let's say, having your ads blocked by ad blockers and then that kind of forcing you to be improperly billed. If you found that that was really affecting you, I guess you could change how you're paying for the ads. So, for example, instead of CPM, which CPM is probably more affected that way, because depending on how they're tracking it, they're actually tracking against that ad block, that ad itself, or whether they're just tracking page views. Like, oh, there's 1,000 page views, so we're going to bill you for kind of the 1 CPM. But instead of that, if you were being billed on cost per click, well, if the ad's being blocked, nobody's seeing the ads, they're not going to be clicking on the ads. And so I think that'd be something to kind of monitor and track. It's difficult because it's kind of like out of your control because it's out on some other website and you're not in control of that website, you're not in control of the ad network itself. But I guess really, even in cost per click sense, kind of make sure to check what the ad networks are giving you versus your own data. So if you have statistics, programs on your own website hosting, for example, through AW stats, through cPanel or something like that, check those stats versus Google stats. There'll be some variation just because even that's not perfect, but if things are like really out of balance, then that'd be something to look into. Yes.
And then also, is it possible and allowable to tweak the code for Google Tag Manager?
You, So, I mean, like that plugin, that WordPress plugin itself, I haven't reviewed that part of like, let's say the tag manager terms of service. So I don't know if there's anything in the terms of service that would say that you can't tweak that. I did look at the view source for the WordPress plugin that incorporates tag manager. And it looks like that's not exactly, well, it is the tag manager code, but then there's extra data layers, there's extra kind of things built into it. So it is a little tweaked.
I mean, you can customize plugins according to what you want your objective is. So
Right.
It's just not JavaScript, so you can just like tag manager, think of it using that plugin in addition to the tag manager and whatever your objective might be. So let's say if I want to track, I just want to see how many people click on that checkout button and then go away from the website. That's the objective we create.
Yeah, and then also, well, I'll answer that next question too. But another point is that it allows you to add in custom HTML and JavaScript code. So Tag Manager, if you have other code that you wrote custom that you want to use with it, then you can put that into Tag Manager and run it through Tag Manager. And then through Tag Manager, it has all sorts of features. You can even have it where, based off of them clicking on a particular button or hovering over a button, etc., then it triggers the tags. So you get really specific with the targeting.
And then the last
Okay.
thing I had was just, you're talking about WordPress sites here. If you have a website that you built from scratch,
Yes.
you can still use these plugins.
Yes. Well, I mean, maybe not the WordPress plugin because you don't have a WordPress website, but if you have your own custom website, Tag Manager is easier to integrate because if you take a look at a standard HTML page, you have the HTML and then the header section, head, body, and then HTML. And there's the opening body tag. Right after that opening body tag, that's where you place the Tag Manager code. And so you could do that on any website. Oh, yeah, you're welcome. Did you have a question? Okay.
So if you're a person with a website and you want to get on the ad exchange, you have to go through like an ad agency to do it, or through like a company that is actually bidding on the ads that are, on the inventory that's available. Because if you're like you said, like Google has ad exchange, right?
Right.
So they're bidding like this is happening in milliseconds, right?
Right.
So these tools are good for people who are buying. What about someone who's actually helping facilitate, they're actually doing the bidding? Like, are these tools good for that too?
You mean as far as kind of real-time bidding on ads? Okay, so yeah, so I guess these are more kind of tools for monitoring, tracking, how your ads are doing. I know that there are a variety of services out there that help you with kind of real-time monitoring of like Google AdWords ads or Facebook ads, etc.? Is that sort of more like what you're?
Well, I guess so. Like if I have a website and I go to Google and say, hey, I want to buy this batch, basically, so they give me a budget,
Right.
I can buy it.
Yes.
But they're giving me their stats. And
Right.
I'm using your tools to track, to reconcile, to make sure, like, okay, you said I was going to give these type of impressions, but I'm running wide, I'm running blind, and I'm not showing that.
Right.
Like, how does that get reconciled? Like, how do you, like,
And you could contact their support, and I know, I guess that's, you know, a lot of those places, they wouldn't necessarily have, you know, phone numbers like Google.
like
You can send them an email and say,
like Nielsen or something like, I mean.
oh, okay, you're talking about like that, to say like,
Like to verification, like.
right. Yeah, I guess on a larger scale, you could look at something like a ComScore or a Nielsen or Alexa ratings or something like that to see how much traffic that website's getting. But then again, that's not the best judge of it because they could be rotating out like ad blocks. So for example, if you know, they might have one ad spot, but they're rotating 5 advertised blocks through it. And so you're only seeing 1/5, or I guess that whole network, Google, would only be seeing 1/5 of the total impressions, something along those lines. Really, the biggest thing with all of this is to test and to track everything. And if something's not working, then change it. So if you're running on one ad network, it doesn't work anymore, etc., you can either try to change your ad copy, change your landing page, change the network even. You can say, well, Google's not working the best for me. I'll try Facebook. You can try Bing, there's a bunch of ad networks. And that's another thing that I'll be putting out through the Meetup group is I have a list of kind of ad coupons. I wanted to go around the internet and say like, all these websites, they have like, oh, free $50, free $100, free whatever on various ad networks. And so I created this list of different ad networks and like free or discounted ad cards on those networks. And that's a great place to start. So you can say, you know, like if LinkedIn gives you a free $50, why not sign up and use their free $50, because it doesn't cost anything to get it, and then try their ad network out and see if that's going to perform better than what you're currently doing or not, or if it makes sense to continue.
So I got 2 things. One of them is a fact that I think everyone should know because it came out yesterday, that Google's going to start punishing websites that handle pop-up ads, annoying pop-up ones, starting January 10th. So essentially, if they find out, and I don't know how, if they find out that you have one of those pop-up ads as you interact with the site and it comes up in your face and you're like, what the heck? If you have something like that, it's going to lower your rank in search. So just take a look. There's articles all over the place, like The Verge has this article. You can take a look at that. Some other places have it also. But the question that I have is, our site is basically a regular, like, consumer-facing website. You get to see some information about our product, et cetera, et cetera. And then our product is a SaaS product, so it's an internet-based application that you can, you know, log into. The question arises that we have a user ID that gets kind of randomized, that ends up getting assigned to a person when they first visit the site. They're not a user yet. At some point in the conversion process, they become a user. We assign them a database, you know, user ID to them. Is there a good way for that transfer to happen within Google Analytics? Because we are sending that data through Google Tag Manager, and it's being populated in Analytics, but we're having a disconnect between the actual randomized ID that we provide just on landing, because we don't know who you are yet, to the ID that we provide for you on site.
Maybe through conversion tracking, through analytics. So if you set that up as a goal, wherever they sign up, whatever page that's on. And so if you could kind of say that sign up form page, that it's kind of where that transfer is happening. If you had kind of that initial data of their random user ID, and then whenever they go to the next page, that's probably the best place to make that conversion.
Okay, so you set it as a goal on the conversion, which
Right.
should be a goal anyway.
Right, on sign up or something,
Right.
like basically, because they'll be redirected to some page, whether it's some welcome page or members area page or something of that nature, or even welcome, please confirm your email, something like that.
Yeah, well, we actually do an event instead of like a page. So we send the event through data layer or whatever that says I think it's a transaction event or something else like that. That basically fires and then sends off to Facebook Pixel and Google Analytics and all their crazy stuff. So I guess as a goal in analytics, we basically look for that event and do the association there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you know before and after, like, well, here's a random ID, here's the kind of user that random ID becomes, then yeah, you could track it as a goal, then you could map the two.
Okay.
Any additional questions? Oh, yes.
Could you talk about cookies?
With regards to advertising and things like that, or?
Yeah, the class description mentioned
Okay. So as far as kind of cookieing, I mean, I guess cookieing would have more to do with maybe how your website is built, or like what he was mentioning as far as associating visitor with a random ID.
Can I just elaborate on that? I think
Yeah, you can.
Make it help. So the reason that we end up having a user ID is with cross-device. So when a person signs up for our website, they give a specific ID to that person when they log in. Email address, password, they log in. Ta-da, your user ID number 24. Every time you log in as user ID number 24, whether it be your tablet, your laptop, your mobile device, whatever it is, we still know it's you. So we really know your activity at that point, as opposed to you just being a random person that decides to hit the site on your desktop and you say, oh, I forgot about that thing. Let me go back home and look at it on my desktop so I can see the whole site and all the stuff that I need. Unfortunately, those are two unique visits. Same person, two unique visits. At this point, it doesn't really make any sense. We don't know who you are. But as soon as you log in, sending that data, that cookie data, being a user ID in this particular case, then helps going across platforms. So I know exactly when you logged in, what you're doing, what device it was, all that kind of good stuff, no matter what device you're at that point.
Any additional questions?
Wait, I get that, but does Google care about persistence of a user across devices? That's like
well,
that
you do.
ad exchanges themselves are like, can you monetize that, or what were you saying?
You do as the advertiser care. I mean,
as an advertiser, okay.
Right, you as the advertiser care. Google, I mean, they're just running a platform, this ad exchange where you're buying ad spaces and other people are selling it. So the reverse of Google AdWords is AdSense. And so you could even sign up if you have a website for AdSense and put ads on your website.
Yeah, I'm just hosting ads. That's the perspective that I'm
okay, you're hosting ads on your site, or?
I'm
okay.
I'm not doing it at all at the moment, but I have things that I would ideally like to monetize with ads, and I'm not posting ads, so that's why I was curious why you, in my position, why I have cookies for other purposes, but why I would want that data for the purpose of just hosting ad exchange.
Well, I mean, if you're looking into monetizing it through, let's see, CPA network or something like that. So if you were able to, through one of your websites, even if you get name and email addresses or something like that, and then you're able to track where those people go, what their interests are, etc., you have more information, and more information you have, you can then kind of sell that information, essentially. Because in a way, you're selling kind of that ad space, but if you're able to tie it across devices, then that visitor becomes more valuable, kind of to selling that ad space, so to speak, or you have other opportunities available.
So CPA is the easiest thing to look at in that direction.
I would say that I mean, are you running anything right now, or are you looking into running things?
No, I mean, I have a job. I'm not like
okay.
on sites at the moment, but we're, something that we're discussing and we're starting to learn how compensation works, or if it's really working well enough.
Okay, well, there are several lists online as far as like top performing keywords. So you can look into kind of highest paid AdWords keywords, and then if you were to sign up through the Google AdSense program to then host those ads on your website, it's kind of, they're directly related because Google will pay out a percentage of what they receive for those ad clicks. And so you get into really high paying ad clicks, then those should also be high paying kind of from your website off to other websites as ads shown on your site. But what I would suggest is just signing up for the various networks, kind of put something up there depending on traffic. So if you started with, let's say, Google AdSense, then maybe you add in some code and you say, I want half of my website visitors to see Google AdSense ads, I want the other half to see this new network. So you can try like swapping out ad networks and test it against your base ad network and see, based off of the views, based off of all the metrics, what is earning the most money. So I would suggest that. Just look into a variety of those ad networks to place ads on your site, and then pick one and use that as a baseline and kind of do a comparison and judge against that, I guess.
So you mentioned about uploading emails to Facebook, but like, how do you get that initial list of emails? Is there like a forum where you could like say, hey, folks are interested in this topic or industry, and be able to purchase those emails?
I haven't purchased lists of emails myself, but I mean, I think that there's a variety of sites out there, maybe like Info USA or something along those lines, where you can get lists. Maybe organizations would have that. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could look into buying lists of names, emails, etc., and then upload that. I mean, that's technically against the Facebook terms of service because they say that those people should be kind of your audience or should have been in contact with you before, whether it's, I put a fishbowl out at my last trade show and it was a raffle for winning a TV. Like if you collected the phone numbers and the email addresses that way, that's okay with Facebook. If you kind of collected it through, I had an email newsletter, through Aweber, through MailChimp, through one of those services, then that's okay. You can upload that list of names, that list of email addresses. If you are running an offline business and you have a customer database, then you can upload that. So any kind of source of customer data that you already existing have, that's what I recommend uploading. But I mean, they do allow you to upload lists of names and email addresses and things of that sort. So while it would be against their terms of service to upload kind of a list that you obtain randomly out there online, then you could still technically do that. Yes?
So in the beginning you said that there was approximately 258.9 million online users in the United States, right?
Right.
So if you're doing cost per thousand, right?
Yeah.
Using it as a metric.
Right.
What level of users a website need in able to get that cost, like that CPM, like start making money? I know what they're paying, let's say it's per thousand, whatever, 1 cent per thousand, right? You need to at least be hitting like 10 million users to really.
Well, it depends on the, kind of your niche, the topic of your website. Like for example, if your website was focused around law practices or something, like some area of the law,
Yeah.
then the cost per click, CPM,
Yeah.
those would be really high. Other ones, you know, maybe around like free ringtones or something like that, those might be pretty low. So depending on what your site was geared around, if you're looking to place ads on your website to make money from those ads on your site,
Yeah.
then you'd want to pick one of those topics, or maybe kind of gear your articles more towards the topics that have higher cost per clicks on the advertising side of things, because then that's going to have higher kind of income possibilities. As far as numbers go, I do think that personally I've seen CPMs, cost per clicks, go up a lot in the past 10 years or so. And I think that's really something that people aren't discussing online, is that, you know, with the rise of CPC prices on the ad network side of things, then I feel like you'd make more money nowadays from having your own website and hosting ads on it than you would have 10 years ago. Because as advertisers pay more, because it's percentage revenue sharing, you're getting percentage of more money off of those clicks. Now the trick is, if you're advertising yourself to get those clicks, you'd also be paying more, unless you had an inexpensive way of getting them. If you had a way offline, I'm running a business, I already have a customer database, I already have a popular website, software as a service application, people are logging in all the time, something like that. If you have a popular website already, then it's better. If you have the traffic, then yeah, I feel like that traffic, the CPM prices, cost per click, etc., for ads on your website, from your website to other websites, has increased. And so you'd be making more money off of that.
And last question.
Yes.
What is the high performing form of, like, it's creating? Is it video? Is it like banner ads? Like you said, or AdSense? Like what
It would depend on your kind of niche, but I would suggest, or I think that video would probably be one of the highest performing, like YouTube video ads. Just like out of personal experience, I think kind of if you're able to target it to specific videos out there online, or your specific audience, you know what videos they're watching, then you can kind of put your video in front of it and get people to click off, go to your website. It's especially valuable for when you have that tracking code on your website, you have a custom audience from Google AdWords, and you can then say, anybody who's visited my website, I want to show them these videos, ads, whenever they're on YouTube.
Gotcha.
Things like that.
I've heard that too, and it might be true. I'm just curious to see how a good sized audience.
Right.
As we close that question, my site doesn't get much. But if there are people who get traffic that are experimenting with Google AdWords and videos.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I mean that's a good question for the audience. What is everyone's or anyone's experience with that, with various ad kind of formats? So you think banner ads, text ads on Google search, video, etc.
Retargeting ads and display ads are usually way less effective, but it also depends on the type of ad you're running.
Right.
But if you run search ads, it's always good to like add extensions and stuff like that. Like with your address and stars, if you ever use stuff like that, it always increases the
About 75% on video ads in more conversions than anything. This is true for any ad network. I ran ads for $2,000 on Facebook. Video ads got me much higher conversion on Facebook itself. And remarketing ads that you can use on your website. They're effective at good company. You are website, it's much more probability that they will come back and fill in the information regardless of what you do.
You do a lot of
display ads and mobile ads. So PC, we've not done much of video, but with text and mobile gives much more returns.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes.
I'm currently running a landing page campaign, and I'm wondering what do you think is a good conversion rate on that page?
What rate are you at right now, or do you not want to say? Well, is that for conversion rate for a sale, or for like getting email opt-in? Just for emails here. I mean that. Yeah, I would say that that's good. I mean, I've seen where you can get up to maybe 50, 60%, but that would have to be really, really targeted traffic. Well, I think 25 would be good. I mean, but then again, that's tough to say that because you really have to look at the big picture. It's like how much are you spending on the traffic versus how many opt-ins are you getting? You know, it's important to look at the big picture whenever you're advertising online and not get lost in the weeds and say like, oh, I'm getting a really high conversion rate on email signups, but then these emails, I email them and they don't buy anything. And so I spent $1,000 getting all these email addresses and I didn't get a return on that investment because when I went to sell those people things, they didn't buy anything. So if you just kind of look at the big picture of what is your end goal versus what you're spending, then that's always a good thing to keep in mind as you're advertising. So, I guess.
As someone completely new to this, is this something I should be attempting by myself, or should I be going through like hiring someone, going through an agency?
I mean, this is something that you can attempt yourself. That's why one of the recommendations is that I have kind of a list of free ad credits on some various networks. And so you can try, with let's say like $50 in free AdWords and free LinkedIn credits, or say Google AdWords, spend $25 for $100 in ads or something like that. So if you try it on a low risk kind of sense and see whether it makes sense for you, if it's working, if you enjoy kind of running these ads and testing it, tweaking it, etc. Probably, I don't know. I guess you could try that, or if you're just like, I'm so busy running my business, I don't want to get into the weeds of managing these ad campaigns, etc. You could go and hire somebody to just handle all of this for you. Or if you try it out for a little bit, you don't like it, hire somebody to manage it. Yes. Yes. Yeah, so I just want to say thank you. I kind of set up like a membership login at biggerconversions.com for resources, infographics, etc. But they'll also be on the New York Search Engine Optimization Meetup page. So if you haven't joined the New York Search Engine Optimization Meetup, I definitely recommend it. Edward back there is the organizer. He's waving at everyone. But no, it's a great meetup. Definitely recommend it. And that's the URL for it, meetup.com/NYC-search-engine-optimization.